it seems like the world is spinning faster. March 5th already. All right. It's just starting now. Cool. There. Cool. All right. Hello, everyone. So we have the questions on the dashboard. I'll just have a little check in there. Yes, I just caught the tail end of something there. Yeah, so anyone can join the calls, these calls, any of your team or anyone you'd like to join, simply by going to, let me get that right, make sure it's redirecting. Oh, sure, I'll put the link in here. Just testing that's working, okay, yep. Yep. So what you can use is the link that we have. So just the link for this event in Obvio. And what that does is it'll just redirect to the sign up page. The sign up page, it then just has first name, last name, and email, and then people join. So for those that didn't know about the sign up feature, that is a feature particularly for free events, right? That you just want to get people into the dashboard, and it's also an easy URL to send out to everyone, whether they have signed up or not. So if you're not needing to restrict who's able to join, then the sign up function is a good one to use. And so I can show you what that looks like. Let's see here. All right, I'll just show you this quickly since we're talking about sign up, and I'll show you just here. So here I am in the event that we're on right now. And then if we look at the, design and then sign up. And so this is a feature that you need to enable. And when you enable it, you'll see the link is there. And that link is what you can use to send to people. And you can have it that when they enter their first name, last name, email, sign up, they'll go straight to the dashboard. So it's particularly useful for free events. They'll get added to your attendees. If they return and they're already added, they'll just get automatically logged in. They're using the same details. They'll go straight back in to the dashboard. So that is the sign up feature. And so, of course, for paid events, you're likely to want to have that turned off so that people can't log in that way. And then you would be sending them their magic links or their ways to log in that way. Cool. All right. So we do have a couple of questions that have been posted on the dashboard, that ask a question form. And I'm just pulling that up now. Okay. So, Jolanta, hello. I waited until you put food in your mouth.
I came prepared this time.
Nice. I love it.
How are you?
So different places. Hello, I'm well, thank you. Nice to see you. Love to know the different places I can pull some great stats to review event data and compile internal recap. Keep popping into some in surprising places. Yep. Yeah. So there's a few different spots. So let's have a little look. I will show you my screen here. Let's go back to. All right. I'm always conscious of showing. Actually, do you know what? I'm just gonna stop that for a second. I'm gonna go to more of a blank event so that I can show email addresses and things that are not real. Let me see if I can find there. And that way we can look around with no problems. Coming. Test. I think I've got one here. This one might work. Okay, well, this is as good as any. It's got no attendees in there, so this will work. All right. So probably in no particular order, we can think of particularly post-event, what are the sort of stats that you can get. So when you're in the attendees tab here, you've got attendee tools over here, so you can export. When you export attendees, it's going to give you in fact, if I just add one. So if we have someone there, do you know what it occurs to me is that the privacy stuff that I'm trying to maintain is also YouTube when we're streaming or recording on YouTube, that it's seeing these addresses and flagging it as a privacy issue. What I realize now is that even my bogus homer at simpson.com would still be seen by YouTube as a real email address. So I think we are really going to have to work on a way of hiding addresses for screen sharing purposes, because even with bogus addresses, it's going to be a problem. Okay, so that when you do an export, it's going to send you an email, and the email is to download. It's done that way because it could be a large file. It could take some time, and so, but this is probably the most basic stats that you can get, but it can be helpful. What you're going to see, I need to just change here. To this one. So first name, last name, email, phone number if it was entered, the login URL, so the magic link for that person. So that can be helpful sometimes for very small events. Sometimes people have literally just download this and then just copy and paste a few emails and send them out, right? Because they've got the token to send people's login details. Now, if you had the waiver step turned on, it would say when they signed that. That would be a timestamp of exactly when they signed it. So remember that the waiver step can be used for lots of things. It's called the waiver step because it was originally just about signing a waiver, but it can be a form. It can be a waiver and a form, or it can just be a form. So then it can be an intake survey, right? And so when you do that, it would say when that intake survey was first signed. If you had tech check turned on, that sort of third step of check-in, and you had a check-in process, it would say when that happened. And then probably a handy one here is checked in at. Checked in at is just the first time they went to the dashboard. So that can be a helpful stat, right? Particularly if you're wanting to do some analysis on your event and seeing when people went to it. And what you'll find is a bunch of people will go as soon as you send the email out, which could have been a day before the event. And probably a majority will show up at the time that the event starts. And so for your particular audience, that's really interesting, a really interesting stat, because it tells you whether people have had a chance to read anything on the dashboard or not, or whether they literally just went dashboard, join main stage, because they were late. And so that's a helpful thing to look at, knowing when your event starts. So then we go back. So that's an Obvio, they're Obvio stats. That's nothing to do with Zoom, right, at this point. Then we go to Zoom areas. Let me show you this. So when you go to Zoom areas and you go into a area, so this might be called main stage or something, what you have here is export log. Export log is every time someone joined and left your Zoom meeting, we get a notification about that, as in we're storing that for you. So there's two different ways that you can get this report. One is a detailed report, which is the details of the attendee, their first name, last name, email, and their tags, their groups, and the time that they left. It was the time they joined. And then it would be a whole nother row for the time they left, and another row. So every time they joined and every time they left, you would have a row in the spreadsheet. This is extra nerdy, is if you want that, because lots of people do join multiple times, and the longer your event, the more that happens, right? So we also have a summary log, which is a single line, a single row in the export for each attendee, and how many times they joined, and then the total duration that they were connected for, right? So most people probably use that summary log. What is interesting with the detailed log is if you were really interested to focus in on a particular attendee and see what their experience was, you can draw it down and see that, actually they missed this whole session, or they, that sort of stuff can be very helpful when you're post-event, post-mortem, although hopefully your event is not dead. So the summary log is probably what you'll use the most, and that's really helpful. You can sometimes we can use this, and then I'll show you the other attendance logs as well. But this one's been around for a while, and it still has its place, where you want to see specifically which rooms they might have gone in. So say you had a help desk that was going the whole time, you could do an export of just that help desk and see exactly the people that went in, and that can be helpful for follow-up afterwards, support follow-up and things like that. That's what that's about. So then the final and probably most comprehensive is Zoom attendance. So Zoom attendance is and actually I might switch. I'll switch events to something that has got some data now. And this one's been added more recently, and it's the idea that you can start seeing some graphs and things. There. Attendance. All right. Actually, this wasn't a great one to choose, but it's not a great one to choose only because it's been going for so long, this event. Do there. Let's go there. And then, that's not going to work. So if we were to look at this event, sure, it's okay. So I'm looking at the start and end times. In fact, let's just leave that like that. I'm going to say the main stage here. Here you go. So we were a little bit wrong with the. So this is attendance, okay, in a graph format. Let me look at it like this, and I can keep sort of, there we go, zooming in. There we go, to the event that happened. And so this is the one oh no, not last week, but oh yeah, last week. So 2 lines, typical graph. It's telling us how many people were in Zoom at that time, and then how many joined and left. So the interesting thing with this is, and you can hit these too, right? So you can just see what was the total attendance number at that time. And so you're looking at a point in time. And then where join and left is helpful is when you're trying to compare it doesn't, if you're only looking at the in-Zoom numbers, then it's not giving you the full picture, because at this point there was 19 people, but 5 people could have left and 5 people could have joined, and the number would stay the same. So that's why having joined and left is interesting, particularly when you see left, and you can see when people left throughout the call. Hopefully, most people leave at the end of the meeting. But you will see, spikes when you have breaks and things like that, right? So that's a graph. Now, what's powerful about this is that there's a couple of things here, right? So export attendees. Okay, so now export what you have there and see exactly who was on during that time frame. What's really powerful is when you start saying, this was when we did a pitch right at this particular time, right? So between, this 30 minutes was when we did the pitch. So now you can say, give me a list of all the people that were there during the pitch, as much as their computer was at least connected, right? So that's very handy, because what that also does is you can think about the inverse of that as well. So if we were to say, so this was an export, okay, now I've got an export spreadsheet, and now I can do with that whatever I want. Or how about I just add a tag to people for that bracket of people, right? So now I can say, make a tag called pitch, and apply that for the 18 people who were online between that window, right? So confirm that, and now all of your attendees that were there during the pitch have a tag called pitch. Obviously, the sweet thing with that is that you then go to broadcasts and you can create an email, either specifically in here, you would say add a filter and say tag, include pitch. And now you can send an email to all the people that were there during the pitch. But the very powerful one is does not include pitch. Now you're sending to all the people who were not there, right? You're making all the right faces, Jolenta. And you can also say in this pitch idea, if you said that they weren't there, but they were checked in, right? So now you know that they'd been to the dashboard. You could do another tag if you wanted to too. Like if you wanted to really geek out with it more, is that you could say, these are the people that attended the event at some point. So now you've got an attended tag that you create, and then you create one for pitch. And now you've got, they attended, but they weren't there for the pitch. Hey, just wanted to let you know you missed out. Our system tells us that you weren't you weren't there, or we think you weren't there for this really important session. Here's a recording of what you missed, or whatever, right? So so that's super powerful as well. So that's where the Zoom attendance thing has come. There's some extra geeky things as well, as far as being able to schedule ahead of time to say, I know that my pitch or whatever is going to be, in 2 days' time at this time. So now go ahead and create that tag for the people that are there. And so now, if you think about this being able to automate some of this, is that you could create something that pops up on the dashboard only for the people that were there. So if we're thinking about enrollment-based events, it could be that you don't want to give the sign-up form to people who didn't see the session, and you would prefer that they, hear the whole process before they got the sign-up options. And so you could ahead of time say that my pitch is going to be now. I'm going to tag people with that, and on my dashboard is a link to the sign-up page for my high ticket offer, and it will only show for people that were in Zoom at the time. So that's pretty powerful too. That kind of answers that. So that's sort of all the extra analysis that you can do, and some of that you're able to do even during your event. And so yeah, and you can sort of get that data. It's a really good thing, particularly when you're doing a multi-day event, to be able to see who was and wasn't there, and do some analysis for your day 3 as to who wasn't. So particularly when you start seeing people that come on day 3 that weren't there, perhaps for a pitch or something like that. Anyone got any follow-up questions? I've been saying lots of words. Is there anything? Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And when I said that I was finding things in surprising places, is because of that filter function, where I would have a view inside a dashboard where suddenly, for example, with the form fill out that we used as the waiver instead, it broke down the attendance by percentage in a visual way. And I was like, wow, what else is here? So I started poking around Obvio to try to find other things. I learned a lot.
Right.
So thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to poking around even more.
Yeah. And I mean, you can totally see that. It's different when there are requested features versus we're using the platform all the time. And so we want these things, right? And so we build them out to be able to use them. And particularly Blue and Barry are like, we want to be able to do this specifically to be able to see when people are on and which sessions they've been, connected to, and that sort of thing. And so another thing with that, with Zoom attendance, and I don't know if Jeff is here, but Jeff does lots with the certificates. So creating certificates for people that have come to the event. So you can also set whether they're what their attendance minimum is. So did they come for 60% of the event? Then they can get a certificate. All of that can be automated. So that's kind of based on attendance as well. But even just having it, creating a tag for people that came, means that for any time during your duration of your event, had they have joined Zoom for some of it, then creating a tag for those people means that you can target all the people that registered that didn't come. And now say, hey, we really missed you. Here's some recordings, or here's the next event, or here's a coupon code for the next event, whatever it is, right? But that's super powerful. Is the inverse of people that were there, is who wasn't there. So,
You know what this brings to mind is those software companies that do certifications, right? For example, I'm a digital marketer. So it seems like that's a really good use case for how, the using Obvio could look different than just like a live event enrollment for a program, but for actually training,
Yep.
um, not just staff, but like those who are users of those software programs,
Mm-hmm.
potentially
Mm-hmm.
certificates. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone currently
Yeah.
doing that you're aware of?
Well, Jeff, who I mentioned before, does programs for schools and a certification program for schools, and so then has people come and they do a course, and then they get a certificate based on their attendance in that course. So I think it also is lined up with some other, not tests so much, but forms that kind of show some engagement as well. It depends how important it is that people have engaged throughout the process, but it 100% can be used for that. So, and then being able to automate all of that, so all the certificates can be sent out automatically. And so that particular function, although we did want it, was pushed quite a lot by Jeff, and he uses it to great effect because he's doing multiple events a week and just has all of that automated. So away it goes. They were there for X amount of time, then they get their certificate sent to them, and it's all done. So yeah, there's lots of use cases. Lots of what we talk about is in that kind of enrollment based event space. But I've used it for lots of different types of events that aren't enrollment, and but it just is, that's kind of the focus. If we had to have one, that would be the type of focus, is that sort of training sort of event. So cool.
Thank you so much, Grant.
No worries, that covers that well. I'll just see, you've got another couple, I think, as well. Let me just see. I think we came in some different order, so I'll share it around a little bit. Mario, hey Mario. How far in advance do you think you need to promote your challenge to have the most registered? What is a reasonable time to promote? Not specifically an Obvio question, and possibly more of a, I don't know, if you're in Leap, you may not be in Leap. Are you on, Mario?
Yeah, I'm on. Mario's my husband. I'm Jessica, and I
Okay.
can't change the name for some reason. For some reason.
No
Yeah.
worries.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, normally
Yeah.
I've done it like a month before to start promoting it. I just wanted to know what you thought, obviously, to get the most registered to come in, just to like start promoting it and then doing maybe some master classes to stack
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So let me just first say, so you are in Leap, and
Yes.
so hearing from Blue and Barry on this would be best. And so
Okay.
I think the Blue does the open office hours on Friday, I think,
Okay.
is, someone else can confirm that. Um, and so, and just so we set it all straight, because Obvio is the platform that we use, that you get as a free product as part of your Leap membership, right? These particular calls are focused around the use of Obvio, because we also have some users that just use Obvio and are not in Leap, right? And
Okay.
so that's the purpose. So I'm just saying that
Okay.
as a little
Okay. This
disclaimer.
was my
But
first
yeah, you're
email, so I
totally fine.
apologize for that.
No, no need to apologize, because what often happens in these calls about Ovio is that we tend to talk lots about how Ovio works. Inevitably, it rolls into, oh, what are you doing for your event, and when are you going to send your emails out, and then what microphone should I buy, right? So
Right.
that's what happens every week. Every week,
Okay.
these sorts of things come up, right? Um, the reason that I say all of this is that Blue and Barry are going to give you a better answer than I am. But what I'm
Okay.
going to do is regurgitate some of the things that I've heard from them and some of my experience.
Okay.
It really depends it depends a lot on your list, your community. What is really interesting is what I have found is that when we send out early, some people will be like, oh, that's forever away, and they'll forget about it and they won't register, right? So then you're still kind of pushing them later anyway. There's a fine balance, I think, between getting that kind of 2-week type, 2 weeks, 3 weeks type idea where it feels like it's not too far away, it's not too distant, and that they can fit that into their calendar and they can make it work, right? So and then it's just those how regular do you do those the updates and the requests? And I think pretty regularly, particularly if you have a system that is excluding all the people that have already signed up and and are able to unsubscribe or whatever, those sorts of things. But I do think it's interesting. Is this for like a longer event, like a 3-day event, or is it like a
Yeah, I was gonna do a 5-day challenge, which I've done before. I kind of took a break, and then we got into Barry and Blue's event, and we were like, we want to start doing this again. We made money from it. We do events here in New York City, and we did the coaching during the pandemic. Once everything opened up, our events just got crazy, and we kind of put our coaching on the back burner. So we want to do that again because we know that there's, number one, we can help so many people and we can bring in more revenue doing it. So we want to bring it back again. So we started doing our funnel again, and we wanted to launch it. I just didn't know how far in advance we should do it because people, they always book tickets last minute to any type of event. We do a 3-day conference also, so they wait last minute, but I didn't know if there was a new way to do it now that people are promoting so far in advance to get more ticket sales.
Yeah. I'm interested in other people's thoughts on this as well. But yeah, I think there's a fine balance. And honestly, I think that you doing your own analysis of how it works for your community is going to be the best, because it'll be really interesting because lots of times we don't do analysis of when I sent this email and then how many people signed up after that, and then when I sent, like where did most people sign up, those sorts of things. And so I'd be like, send it a month out and see what happens. And next time you might be like, oh, let's not do the month out one. We'll do a 2 weeks or whatever. Yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah. But all the best for that. I think I feel like you're asking the right questions, right? Because it means that you're really thinking about it to try to maximize the signups, So
awesome. Thank you so much. Now I'm gonna listen in. Thank you.
You're welcome. No worries.
Where I am.
All right. Let me see. Go back to my questions. What do I do? Often clicking around away from the questions. Do that one. Mary. Hello, Mary. Blue mentioned that he set up his sales pages before his order form page. He does this to capture their name and email in case they abandon the order, they become a lead. How do we do that in Obvio? Set up his sales page before his order form page. Justin, you came on at the right time. I'm just trying to think about,
He was talking about that in the funnel process.
Okay.
So there's an opt-in page and then the purchase page.
So not specifically Obvio, right?
In Obvio, there's really no way to do a 2-step process per se. You could potentially you make the first page kind of an opt-in and then use an upsell page. But then if you're planning to go from general admission to like an upsell of VIP, you don't have an option at that point.
Mm.
And I think it'd be awkward a bit to have the sales page, first sales page, not have sales data really. So I don't know that we've really designed a two-step checkout process at all.
No. Yeah, it's interesting though. Clearly that is something that could be set up on some of the other CRMs, right? And funnel systems, to be able to do that.
And I'm not sure that we have that in our vision to necessarily be able to do the whole cart abandon and everything else. Like if you're at the point where that's kind of an advanced move really to do, cart abandon is ultimately what you're going after. So capturing the lead up front, if they don't finish the registration and sales process, after a certain amount of time, you're going to start sending them, and you didn't finish the process. Like, are you still interested? Kind of emails and text messages of cart abandon. That really, I think, is designed more for an actual CRM and funnel system. Actually, really a funnel system over what we're trying to actually do.
Yeah, I can see, not immediately, but I can see a very light version of that where we once they have entered first name, last name, email, that we create them as an attendee, with a particular tag. So this is just brainstorming at this point. The fact that Blue was even mentioning it means that it'll be floating around in his mind as to whether we we incorporate it into Obvio.
Maybe he mentioned it on a leap call this week where somebody asked him about his TVE sales process. And
yeah,
they've done that for all of their TVEs pretty much that I can remember. Kind of had that two-step.
Yeah. Yeah, it's clever. But yes, so not specifically in Obvio, not yet. And maybe not, this is always the thing with Obvio, is that it's important for everyone to have clear in their mind about where Obvio sits. And I know that we confuse it, right? Because it mostly is about managing your attendees into Zoom and keeping that process really a home for your event for before, during, and after for your registered attendees. I think Blue said sometimes a temporary membership site. It's a place just for your event. Now, where we confuse it is where we're like, and we can send your emails, we can do broadcasts, right? And then it's like, oh, and we can do a sales page, so I totally get that. It kind of has these tentacles that go out than just your event. But really the way that I think about it is that those extra services are the entry level into getting your event rolling. You should be able to do most of what you need to do for a small event. You should be able to do that with Obvio. As soon as you're kicking on to second, third, fourth, building out your list, it's all bigger, then you're going to want to use other purpose-built tools like CRMs and funnel systems and things that are managing all that for you, and then you're moving into Obvio for the actual event. So
yeah, and the other thing Obvio doesn't currently have, and we'd have no plans for it, is workflow automations, because that's really a key thing you need for cart abandon, is to be able to track somebody did something and X amount of time later go do something, then wait a little bit and do something else. We don't have on our road have to do those.
No.
And we've talked about those internally a bit, and we don't think that's something that's going to land in Obvio. It's a lot of work to do it, and a heck of a lot of work to get it right. And there's lots of systems out there that already do that and do it very, very well.
Yeah, when I was thinking in my mind, when I'm just thinking about the abandoned cart idea, I think about tagging someone as abandoned, and then creating a scheduled broadcast that's a week out and just send it to abandoned carts, right? Like, it's that type of thing. That it's more of an event rather than based on 4 hours after they did it. It's actually just 2 hours before the event starts or something, right?
Yep.
So yeah, totally agree. Cool. Muddy, I'd like to learn about how sign up works in tandem with a service integration. I want people to sign up in Obvio, then a magic link sent to a third-party CRM. How do the rules work in sign up? Like all your questions, I think, Muddy, you've got a hypothesis, right? It's a true scientist. It's a data scientist.
Yes. What it should do is after you buy a ticket in Marketplace, it's supposed to send the magic.
process.
So it's
Talking about the
supposed to
sign up.
send, yeah. So once they sign up in through Marketplace, it's supposed to, if you've got the service hooked up and you've done the configuration correctly.
No, this is
It's
free
not
sign up.
marketplace.
Not Marketplace. Okay.
Just
Then-
slash sign up.
Ah,
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
it. So it should
So-
send it back
Pre-event.
over.
Yeah, it should.
Free event CRM. We're sending a message out to the whole list. Hey, we're having a webinar. Here's the link to sign up, and it's event/sign up. Event.obv.io/sign up.
Mhm,
They sign up. They become an attendee in Obvio.
mhm.
But we want to send them their reminder in the CRM. And so we have the CRM connected. It was Keep in this case through the third-party integration. And I'm not sure if they came in through sign up that they became that Obvio ever sent the magic link back to Keep, right? Because typically the way the third-party service integration is, it's watching the CRM system for a special tag. If that tag gets applied in the CRM system, it brings them into Obvio that way. So that's really, with a third-party registration page, then a tag gets applied, then they get sucked into Obvio. So, or, brought into Obvio, and the magic link gets sent back. This is a little bit of a unique workflow, and it looked like there is an option to add a tag to them when they sign up. So the last part of my question was, there's something a little bit weird in the page settings. There's a page settings button for the sign up page. And in that, there's a rules tab, which seems to indicate that a tag is going to be applied to them if they use that sign up page. But that's not typically how the rules work in Obvio, right? Rules are usually a visibility rule. So I was like, I'm not sure this is doing what I think it's doing, but it looked like it was. It looked like it was applying a tag. Part of the challenge is we're reusing an event that was a webinar last year. And so it would be super easy if the event was cleared out and had no attendees, because if they were an attendee, we know they signed up for this webinar. But this client pulled in an old webinar, so we have some attendees that are in there that were from last year, and I'm not exactly sure who came in this year. So a little bit of a mess as far as, we won't do it like this in the future. We'll kind of set up a separate, or at least clear attendees out. But does that rules button do what I think it's doing?
Yes, it does apply tag. And Justin, we should rename that. That's a good point. It's not really a rule. It's apply a tag or a group. It needs a different name. But in
that'll
theory,
solve it. I mean, I ultimately just wanted to make sure how to identify the people who came through the sign up page. And I used that as a tag, and 1 or 2 people came through with that tag. And so I just kind of manually grabbed their login URL and put it over in Keep. It was a small enough group, it was easy to manage, but I don't think the third-party integration will watch for that tag in Obvio. Like, oh, wait, somebody's already an attendee with that tag, and send the magic link back. That's what I was hoping. Didn't look like they completed the.
So yeah, so then you're having Keep create the attendee though too, right? Like, or they were already there.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, they were already there because the email
That's
went
how
out
they
to an
found out
existing
about it.
list from Keep. So
Yeah.
they were already a contact in Keep. But the couple of people who signed up with the sign up link never got the login URL field filled in automatically, because Obvio is looking externally for that tag, not internally, right? If I just went into an attendee and added that tag to them, that doesn't then send that magic link back to Keep. So I don't think.
No, well, yeah, I don't know. We'd have to, in theory, it should send back when it's created it, however it's created an attendee, right? So whether the attendee was added manually or imported or sign up, and there's an integration, it should be sending that back. Now, what Keep does with it at that point is the question. And now it may not be working like that, but it should, because it's just created the attendee. So, but then I guess I question the workflow anyway. If we're trying to do that, why not? Yeah, and you've explained it well. Why you went down.
Yeah, but why not just create a simple registration page on Keep that they go through, and then we know that that's
right.
how things are supposed to work. But actually, you've now my hypothesis needs some needs some scientific process to go with it, because it'll be interesting to see if I have a kind of empty attendee list, but I have a third-party integration set up. I might try to add somebody a couple of different ways: import them from a CSV, add them manually, add them through sign up, add them through marketplace, add them through an external integration. There's 5 ways that they can come in, and to see which of those kind of complete the loop back to the CRM. That'll be a good experiment. I'll report back when I do that test.
Yeah,
and then of course there's 6 different integrations, because they all work a little differently. So.
A little bit differently. Yeah, and I was thinking of Zapier in that process as well, right? Because you could more explicitly say, this is what I want you to do with this data, is create the attendee in Keep, or whatever. But yeah, see how you go. That's my theory. I'm not 100% certain. So have a play around with it.
Well, as long as I know that the sign up page settings rules,
that creates a tag.
Apply a tag or group, then that's at least an easy way to track who came through that sign up page. And that's at the end of the day, that was the part I was struggling with: how many of these event and how many just came through with tag evidence. Cool, thank you.
Right. Yeah, you're welcome. In the same way, area registration and room registration tags them with that too, right? So that that's how they came in. Cool.
Oh yeah, that's a sixth way someone could get in the event. I have to include that in the experiment.
Could test that too. Yeah. So I've got Hissler. I don't think they are here, but we'll have a quick look anyway. Let me see. Okay, there's an internal question there. That's cool. I'll come back to that one. And Jolanta again.
I don't think so. They might be old questions.
Oh, it is. It is. Sorry, you're right. It was sitting there from last week. That's right. Cool. No problems. And then that one is an internal one. I'll get that checked. I'll leave that there. Okay, cool. So that was the last posted question. Are there any other questions that people have? Raise your hand, chat about it. Anything of interest? They're like, no, you're supposed to provide interesting things, not us. I don't have any questions. Let me see here. Hey, Phyllis, take it away.
Hey, Grant. I just wanted to ask, I'm still watching the Avio videos, the different calls. So once
Yep.
I'm completed with those 8 calls, then I can start getting active. I mean, is that your advice? Because I'm trying to go by the letter of the law in terms of how, Barry said, just go step by step, don't alter anything, don't make any shortcuts. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm on track with just making sure that I cover all of those. And I'm doing it with everything. I did the perfect webinar, I took my notes, now I'm going through the calls. So is that pretty much the sequence?
It is and it isn't, right? I guess I think my recommendation to you is to complete those calls, but I wouldn't stress on trying to retain all of that information, right? And the reason I say that is that I think that there is so much to the platform that, particularly with where you're at when you're starting out, you may not need, right? And I wouldn't recommend that you have all those features turned on for your first event that you do in Obvio, right? And so, but I think having it sort of wash over you is helpful because it's kind of like, okay, I'll store the idea that this is something that can happen, but I don't need to remember how to do it right now, right? And so you just kind of marinate in what's possible with Obvio. And then you're like, okay, now for my first event, I'm going to do the bare basics. And I'm just going to get my first event going. And probably that you're going to do a dummy event first, right? In that we've had people that do family meetings and things in an Obvio event, right? They're planning a holiday, so they get 6 people in, and they do an event, and that's very helpful, right? Because you don't learn. You don't know what you're missing out until someone points it out that's an attendee. And it's like, I don't know how to get into Zoom. I don't have a button, or I don't know what this process is. Whereas when you do it with a half a dozen people, you'll get a good idea of how to do it. And so the key things to think about when running an event in Obvio is you need to think about how your attendees are getting the link, what link they're using. You need to think about what's on the dashboard. So what, and really you just need a button that gets them into Zoom, right? Like that's the requirement, is on the dashboard. There's a link to get into Zoom, and you've got your Zoom area set up, and that's it. Right.
Okay, I'm just noting some of the information is a little bit dated, where you all have made a tweak. I'm saying, oh, wow. So that's a little different from the conversation, because I'm looking at something from 2023 or 2024. And then I'm in a meeting like last week, and he said something that was sort of a slight conflict. So that's another thing I'm concerned about in going from 1 to 2 all the way to 8 when things are changing and I'm learning. Make sense?
That's fair. Yeah, absolutely it does. And
all right.
What I think you'll find is that while there might be some slight variations in things that have changed a little bit, the fundamentals of the process have not changed for 5 years, right?
Okay.
So all of that is the same. I will just provide, and I do want to do another one of these. I did one just last year. And it was just a walkthrough, and it was just me stepping through the whole platform. And not to give not to give you more content to look at, but this is a 45-minute video that you could probably put on faster speed. And this is just a walkthrough of what the platform does. And so that you might find it helpful that's just talking through each of the different features and not getting too bogged down in the details of it. So I do want to do, I don't think I have another one there that's like, I did do a bare basics one at one point as well. Like, what is it that you just need to get your event going? And I'll do another one of those soon too. That's just, this is all you need, bare basics to be able to get an event going. I'll do that as part of one of these calls soon to be able to show that. So
Okay, and you'll just how will I know? You'll announce it and say, "Hey, here it is," or this
and I
is
can
what
put it in the Facebook group as well.
Oh,
to
okay. And there was a
yep.
thing where they had said that we're going to be phasing out on the Facebook group, so I wasn't trying to put a lot of
Right.
energy there. So I
Fair
don't
enough.
know. So you're going to put it in the Facebook group?
Well, yeah. So that there's two separate things as far as Leap, the Leap Facebook groups, and Obvio, but
Okay.
yes, at some point we'll stop that with Obvio as well.
Okay. All right. So I'll check for it there. And I did see where Jolenta said that she only did 1 out of 4 of the calls, and she hopped right into her video, and she's a winner. So, okay. Thank you.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. You use it as a resource, but you can start sort of playing around and getting a simple event going, and and then you'll just grow. You'll build on it each event. That's the best way to do it.
Right. And then
So
I'll be a rock star.
exactly. Well, you're already a rock star. But it's helpful to remember that Obvio is a tool, and the tool doesn't drive you. You drive the tool. So you don't look at a hammer and say, what can I build with this hammer and all the features of the hammer? You say, what's the vision that I need? What is it that I want to build a chair? I'm going to build a chair, but I don't need to build a full house right now. I just need the chair. So Obvio is going to help you do that. And so, it's just thinking, I just need a place that is going to work for people to access. This is the other thing, is that Obvio is about setting it apart from another Zoom invitation email that everyone gets, right? So this feels different, or immediately it's different because of the link that it is. And then the dashboard is a home for your event for before, during, and after. And so having a little bit of information there is great, and that's it, right? And so then it can build on from there. So that can be helpful. Come to the Q&A every week.
Thank you.
Awesome. Sweet. You're welcome. And all the best with it. It's great. Anyone else got any? Now, did I miss? No. Okay. I was checking I hadn't missed anything in the chat there. Okay. Anyone got any other questions, comments, concerns? Cool. Aha. Jaylene, I saw you typing away and I was like, were you just writing emails to someone else or were you writing in the chat? And now it's become clear. Okay, this is the content. Is there a good way to start with test event? Learning of your creating content practice learn. Trial and error as you go before doing actual events. Yeah. It sounds like getting started too. Can you events? Mm-hmm. Great call. Because I was just sitting here thinking that we've got a little bit of time. How about I just step through a little bit of that now, and we can cut it out as a video separately. So let me just get set up a little bit. I just think about an organization.
And Grant, while you're thinking about that organization, can I also put a little bug in your ear for that organization to try to maybe pause in between the different sections? So maybe we could actually even cut the video down to little bite size, like how to open a Zoom room, how to set up like your settings. So it's not just a 45-minute video, but maybe a bunch of like 2 or 3 minute clips.
Yeah. Yeah, good call. All right. So when you first log in, there we go. Let me get set up here a little bit. All right. So I will just say, Jaylene, that the suggestion around creating test events, any excuse that you can use to use Obvio for an event will be helpful, right? As in use an Obvio event for something. And so we have people using events for one-on-one meetings sometimes, right? And so then they're like, hey, can you go to this link and I'll join you there? And then they have the meeting and say, hey, how was that process getting into this, Zoom meeting? Was that all okay? Things like that, or team, team meetings and things like that you can just think about different ways that you could use excuses to use Obvio for what might be a normal Zoom meeting. And so that my example there about the family organizing a holiday, a vacation, was like they put some maps and some things on the dashboard, and then they had the link to the Zoom and they invited their family to come, and it was half a dozen people and they chatted about it. And then it was like, okay, I can see all the processes of making that happen. Yeah. So, all right. So let's go. I'm going to go from this step. Here we go. Right. So let's have a look at how you would first set up your first event. Now, I've come into my organization. This is Grant's first organization. I've clicked on that and I've got no events. So I'm going to hit event, and this is where I'm going to create my first event. Grant's first event. Now, the URL is what's it going to look as the link sitting in the URL? Grant first. So it'll be grantfirst.obv.io, or you could choose these other ones: Bootcamp, events, and then Zoomiverse. Lots of people are just using Obvio. Grantfirst.obvio is what it'll be. The event time zone is everywhere throughout the platform, wherever you see a time, a date and time, what time zone is that going to be in? So choose your event time, and then everyone knows that it's always in that, no matter where they're seeing. Now that's different from the attendees. Attendees will see it on the dashboard and it will say it's in their time zone. That's the one exception, is that on the dashboard for attendees, they see it in their time zone. In the admin section, everywhere it's always in this time zone. Now the start and end time is specifically when are you going to use Zoom. The dashboard is always going to be accessible before, during, after your event. While you have an active subscription with Obvio, you will be able to access the dashboard. But this start and end is when are you going to be doing, have Zoom running. So I'm just going to put in fact, if I do that for now, and I'm going to say 9:40. So this is all in this same time zone. Okay. And just expected number of people that you have. It's just a helpful information for us. You don't need to worry about passwords. There's going to be some things that I'm just going to skip through because I just want you to be able to set up a basic event. I'm not showing you every field and every detail, just what you need for the basics. So look, now I've got my event is sitting in this organization, Grant's first event, grantfirst.obvio. So now when I click on this, the first thing it's going to ask me is which template or design would you like to use? So something you might want to do is create an organization and create a dashboard for each one of them. And so you can play around with them, kind of like a sandbox where you're just playing around and seeing what they all look like. But you can go view sample and it'll open up and show you what that looks like. So for this one, I'm going to choose the cards. I'm going to use cards. And now when you're choosing your template, you can choose whether you want to have demo data in there as example data, or if you want to start with a completely empty template. So the demo data is handy because you can see sort of a basic layout and what you want to add to it. So I'm going to choose that rather than a completely empty template that you're building yourself. So I'm choosing cards and the demo data. So this is now creating it. The first thing that it's taken me to is my event statistics. This is always what you'll come to, as you can see all the people that you have in your event. Of course, it's only just started. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my dashboard, have a little look here. So you can see we've got some demo data in here, and you can choose, for the purpose of what I'm doing, I'm going to leave some of this, that you might have some PDFs or things that you might want to add there. Do you know what? I'm thinking about doing a blank. I don't know what's actually more helpful, because I think there's a lot of stuff here that is not necessary for a basic event. You got any thoughts on that, Justin?
I think the sample data is really useful for, if you've never played an Obvio, you're just trying to get started. Yeah. It gives you a built-out event, so then you can look at the different pages and see what might be on a speaker page or a sponsor page or Zoom backgrounds, and versus just having an empty white canvas. Yeah. Once you know what's in there, chances are when you create an event, you probably will never create it with the sample data after you've learned Obvio.
Yeah.
Typically, if you already know Obvio and you do it with sample data, you're spending more time just removing all the sample data to get back to the small pieces you need than if you just created.
That's right.
one from scratch.
That's exactly the way I was thinking. Yeah, okay. So if I so I've just reset this to be plain, starting with no demo data. This is just a plain dashboard at this point. And so what this has is the different welcome message. I can change that. And I can put a countdown clock in, so I can set a time for that. So we can set that now. Let's say it's going to be tomorrow. We go, and it's all there. I'll save that. And so now it's put a countdown timer in. So the next thing that I want, and the actual basics, are to have a button to be able to join Zoom. Now, the best thing that we can do right now is to go and create our Zoom area. So we're going to go to Zoom areas. I'm going to click this. Now, a Zoom area is a one or more Zoom rooms or Zoom meetings. So I'm going to create an area. We often call this like main stage, right? It's like where everyone's going, this is the main Zoom meeting. And so everything can be default here. We're just creating a main stage. And what this has done is it's created a Zoom area with one room in it, one Zoom meeting. That's actually created a Zoom meeting. Remember that Obvio includes all of Zoom. You're not using your own Zoom meeting, because it's all included. And so now we have our area set up. At this point, we can go back to our dashboard and we want to create a button for people to join. So let's just say join main stage, and we could put a little, I'm trying to remember which one I use. Something like that. There's a little icon that you can choose, and I've said join main stage, and then I'm just going to choose what, oops, not points. I'm just going to choose which area that it's going to. So join an area, as in a Zoom area. And now my only option there is main stage. And there we go. Right. So now, of course, you can go and change all the styling of that button to your heart's content. Okay. Lots of colors there. Change it however you wish. I'm not getting into that. I was just simply saying we have a button there, and we have a countdown. We've got a welcome, and that's it. It's an ugly looking dashboard, I admit, but it's functional, and that's all we're thinking about right now. So now our next step is thinking about our attendees. How are we getting our attendees into it? If it's a free event, the easiest way to get people into your event is to use the in here design sign up feature. Okay, so this is a sign up. We're going to enable it, and now here's the link that we can send to everybody. What it'll have is first name, last name, email, sign up. Now, sign up, you might want to change that to join event or join Zoom or something. Okay. But it's as simple as that. And if we were to click on this, we would see that this is enabled now, and there it is. Now, Obvio is all there because that's the default, but you can change all of that. Put your own logos in, change the background. You can do all of that. But as a basic, we've just got what we need to be able to get started there. as a sign up. Okay, so then if we can actually test this now. So if I do this, that creates an attendee in Obvio and takes the attendee straight. Okay. In this one, we need to disable that in the default, Justin. The create password.
Yep, I've noticed it's the only one that's on.
Yeah, right. See if this works. So then we go to join event, and this will take them straight to the dashboard. It's not because it already knows that I didn't do it. This is a feature that you can have for having passwords, having people make passwords, and so then they can easily join from other devices and things. But we really don't. We don't need. We used to need it 5 years ago. We don't really need it now. So and it was defaulted to turn on, but we're going to change that so that it's defaults to not being on. So here they come straight to the dashboard, and you can see a very boring dashboard, but with a countdown and join main stage. Okay. So what happens when they click main stage and the Zoom is not started? It's going to take them to an offline page. Main stage is currently offline. Now you can customize that, and that would be recommended in here. Zoom areas, main stage, and right here, offline text. And so you can say what you would like, that, the event starts tomorrow at 10 a.m., whatever you want to do, right? And so it's a customizable offline message that people will get if they select it when you haven't started. All right. So now we have the basics of getting the event going. And now it comes to the event day, and you need to start Zoom. So you're logged in. You're going to the Zoom areas here, main stage. You're going to want to make sure that the area is open. When you click this, that's when attendees will join Zoom. While that toggle is off, they will continue to get the offline message, even if Zoom is started, even if you're in Zoom. So that's a helpful, it can be a helpful, and it can be a trap, right? So you want to make sure it's helpful because you can get settled. You can get any team members that you want into Zoom using the same process, but your attendees won't be able to enter until you've opened the door, right? And that's what that is, open area. So if we have that open, we're going to do the same with the room itself. Let's open the room. So this is the Zoom meeting itself. We've enabled it. And now we hit start. And this now launches Zoom, and you are the host. You don't need to log into Zoom. You don't need to do any of that. Zoom just needs to be installed on your computer, but doesn't need to be logged in any way. And now you're ready to start your meeting. So because I had that open and that area was open, people that click the link will join Zoom. That's it. So that is the basics that you need to be able to get your event actually up and racing. What I didn't cover is it's a paid event. If it's a paid event and you don't want to use the sign up feature where people can just join if they come to the URL, then there's a few different ways that you can add attendees. The most basic way is that you can hit add attendee. So I'm going to add an attendee in this manual way. All the bare basics of first name, last name, and email. And now when we look at that that's just been created, we have a login URL, or sometimes we call it a magic link, because this unique link is for that individual, and it will log them in without having to put any emails in or passwords or anything. So if I was to copy this, if you had a simple event you had 10 people coming to, you could literally just copy it and send each person their link, and you'll see what happens. If I paste this and have a look, what would happen if someone clicks this link is it goes straight to the dashboard. It's logged in as them. When they click on this button and they join the Zoom meeting that you're already in, their name will be correct. It'll say Marge Simpson in this case. It'll be exactly right. And all of that's handled. And so that's another nice feature, is that you're not worried about seeing iPad. Sometimes you see iPad or iPhone or things like that in Zoom meetings. You don't know who it is. Because they're coming through Obvio, it will name them correctly in Zoom. So you always have the right name. I think that's the basics. I'm not sure that I can use this as a video because I was stumbling quite a lot. But it is, I think I'll take another stab at it again, but that's all you need to know. There's lots more that you can do, obviously, but this is all that's required to be able to get people into Zoom through Obvio. Any questions on any of that? I know it was a little bit meta because we're doing a sort of trying to record a video at the same time as actually answering questions.
Hey, Grant, the thing that used to always get me tripped up was to remember to open the area, and that's right. At first it was like, how come it's not working? I think I've done everything, but that was the one thing that is important to remember. That's all.
No, thank you, Kat. You're exactly right. Yeah. It is a feature and a trap, as I said, so it's very handy. Phyllis.
Yes, Grant, can you just do a quick linear recap, like create event template, just a really broad, just so I can make sure I got my checkpoints, please? Thank you.
Yeah. Let's do a lightning round. This would be fun actually too for Blue. It'd be like as a speed test. How fast can you get a new event up and racing and send the login URL to someone? So here we go. Okay, challenge is how fast can I set up a new event? Here we go. Grants. Oh, my typing is going to slow me down. Second. I'm going to put in Adelaide. That time for when you're going to be using Zoom, and give yourself a lot of space with that. You don't need to worry about. Make it nice and early before your event and a long way after your event, just so you don't get cut out of Zoom in any way. All right, that's good. And now there it is, the second event in the organization. And now I'm going to choose start with an empty template and cards. Then I'm going to go set up my Zoom area first. So now I'm going to set my Zoom area. I'm going to call it main stage. Then I'm going to make sure my offline text is exactly what I want it to be. Starts tomorrow at 10 a.m. That's good. That's all ready. Now I'm going to go back to my dashboard and I'm going to create in here. I'm going to do little, I'm fine with that. I'm going to edit this. I'm just going to do a little bit sneaky here. Is the code to be able to put in the first name. And now I'm going to do a quick countdown because I said that it was tomorrow, 10 a.m., 10 a.m. Now the countdown's working. And now I need a button to get into Zoom. I'm going to do a nice little icon. And the text of the button is join, we'll call it main stage. Join main stage. Then we click on the join area that we created, the main stage area. That connects that button to that area. That's good. Now we're going to create our attendee. This is Homer Simpson. It's now created. If I open that up again, I can click this little link. Just going to pause here 1 second. That little trap with the password step. Coming back here. All right, and now if I click this little button here, that's going to open in a new tab as Homer Simpson. And there it is. And you see I added the welcome to your dashboard, Homer. I put the first name in there. And then I've got the countdown and I've got the join main stage. So that is the bare basics of what you need to get your event going. On show day, you come to Zoom areas, go to main stage, make sure it's open when you're ready for it to be open, open room, and then click start, and that launches Zoom.
4 minutes. 4 whole minutes.
Well, and I had some time for customization in there with the first name in the thing. So yeah, so that is the basics. Now, obviously, you spend a bit more time making it pretty and adding some different things now, and that's where there are other videos going into what you can do on the dashboard with blog posts and videos and PDF downloads and agenda items and things like that. It's all really cool. There's some great stuff to do there that can be really helpful. But as an absolute basic, how can I just get people in? That's how you do it. And of course, there's integrations and things like that too. So, yeah. This video is on YouTube now, right? And so you can go back and scrub through it if you need to. But hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea, and we need to spin that out as a separate video at some point, or create another one, I think. And then Blue and I have done it as well. Like Blue, his OCD can't deal with the dashboard looking terrible, and so so he has to make it look a little prettier and things. And so that's one of the difference. It's more the tech in me that can be okay with it looking bad. Very good. Any other questions?
Grant, one that Ruby put into the chat asked about the Zoom accounts that are included in Obvio, or do they need their own Zoom account, and worried about length or anything? So if you could just talk about how we include the Zoom stuff.
Yeah, we include Zoom the licensing and all of that is all included with Obvio. So you don't need a separate Zoom license in any way. We have an enterprise account, which gives extra features. So you have things like full HD video, and you have unlimited cloud recording. You have 100 breakout rooms. There's quite a few things that are standard in the Zoom accounts. And if you're if you're on the pro level or the leap level, then you can have up to 500 attendees and unlimited events, and you can have 5 Zoom meetings open at the same time. So that means that you could have your main stage open, you could have a help desk, and then you could have 3 sponsor booths. Sometimes we do that for the lunchtime during your event. You've got sponsors sitting in their own Zoom meeting, and people can go in and chat with those sponsors. So you could have 3 of those, a help desk and a main stage, and not have to pay anything more. And all of it's upgradable. So you can have more Zoom meetings. You just pay per month to have an extra Zoom meeting. And then you can also have more attendees in blocks of 250 attendees. You can pay for more. So that's how all that works. Yeah. Franklin.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we're getting close to the end of the meeting.
We must be. Because Franklin's asking a question.
That was greatly done, Grant. I appreciate it. That's the quickest video I've seen on setting up a site for functionality. But I wanted to know, do we have the capacity to do text messaging through that system? If so, how?
Yeah. So yes, there is SMS is possible with the communication module. And so what it requires, obviously, is that you collect cell phone numbers, and then you will set that up in the same way that you send a broadcast email. You create a new broadcast, and then you set it as an SMS. I can just show you quickly here. I think we have got a whole separate video on this, but so it'll be the channel. So I've just gone to broadcast, new broadcast, and then SMS. And now you type in your message. So you schedule it in the same way, and it's going to tell you how much is it going to cost. So text messaging does cost extra, and it'll give you the exact price. So it's $1 per broadcast, and then 2 cents for US and Canada phone numbers, and 10 cents for other countries per message. And so it'll calculate that based on the attendees that you're wanting to send it to, and it'll tell you how much that costs, and then it charges the account that's on file for your subscriptions. That's how that works. So you can have a little play around with that and test that out. But it can be very powerful to be able to get people as a reminder. And remember that these text messages and the email are what is called a transactional email, not a marketing email. Meaning that a marketing email, as it sounds, is like sending to every person you know on the face of the earth and telling them to come to your event. That's not the purpose, and not how we've set up the system. The purpose is the people that have signed up, they've opted in, they've signed up, they've paid a registration or whatever it is, in some way they know about the event, so that then when you send them an email or a text message, they were expecting it, or they know that it's coming from you. It's for the event that they signed up for. It's a transactional email. It's not something they can opt out of because it's telling them about something that they already are aware of. And so they signed up for the event. And so now they're getting a notification about the event. Hey, just a reminder, the event starts in 10 minutes or whatever it is. That's how that works.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Kat.
Let's see here. One moment. Grant, is it possible to just walk us through a quick scheduling Zoom meeting? This is as a follow-up to like a 3-day event.
Scheduling it and how, like you're thinking, so it's a follow-up, so it's an extra session that you're adding at the end, of an event that's, a couple of days after the event or something, you're doing another special meeting.
Yes.
So there's nothing to schedule that's different. The only thing would be is that you want to make sure that your event time window includes that, right?
Okay.
And so if we were to go,
so like we would do a 3-day event, and then let's say like on Monday we would do something. Would we set the event for 5 days instead of 3 days?
Yeah, exactly. Or you set it. This kind of needs reworking for us because it is confusing. But because now events can be unlimited in duration, right? And so it doesn't make really any difference whether you set that to the Tuesday or the Friday after, right? Like it could totally be multiple days after. But just make sure that if you intend to use Zoom, then it needs to be within this window.
Okay.
And then you would simply just create another, whether it could be the same Zoom meeting and Zoom area that you used before. And you might just go, join the encore session, right? Something like that.
Okay.
And so now people know, they come back to that, they join that, and now they come to an encore session, 2 days later or something like that.
Are people using the same link for the encore session?
Yep. So the dashboard link is always the same, the same. And then they'll just come back. You might, set a countdown to that session, and then they come back in and away it goes.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you so much.
Sure. Cool. Yeah, Melanie, that's it. That there's different ways of learning, right? And I think that's what we were talking about with Phyllis too, is like, how do I watch all of those 8 videos? And I think it's absolutely helpful. And playing along at the same time means you just learn so much about the platform. But also I never want it to feel overwhelming, like you've got to build a full house when actually all you need is a room or a tent. So yeah, you can just get started and build on it from the basic setup. Anything else I'm missing in the chat or anything? Yeah. That's cool, Mary. It's a great setup. And totally can do that. It's the same as this event that we're running right now, that we're all in, is an update event that's been running for a couple of years. And I think, the end date is set way out. And we just use the same thing every week. Same links every time. Really cool. Yeah. Yeah, I do like the suggestions of different ways of sort of onboarding people. Is like what's the bare minimum, and then you can dive deeper into. We've actually got a little function. It'd be good to double check on this, Justin. I think it may not be on production, but there's a little tooltips, we called it, which was being able to have videos and text in places so that when you're on the page, you could go to a video that explains that page. So we've actually got some functionality for that. We just need to build it out now with the videos. So, cool. I think we're going to call it. Thank you, everyone. Same bat time, same bat channel next week. And you can catch us at help@obv.io in the meantime. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Grant.
You're welcome.
It's amazing. It's amazing.